You're listening to the Wayward Atheist Podcast. Hello, everyone. If this is your first time listening, thank you for joining us. This is a podcast where borders collide, where the gloves are off, where filters are removed, where we tell you exactly what we think about the news, politics, and religion. The Wayward Atheist Podcast is dedicated to free thought, reason, and the pursuit of truth. You can follow us on Twitter at Wayward Atheist, on Spreaker, Stitcher, and iTunes. You can email us at waywardatheistpodcast@gmail.com. or leave us a comment on our Facebook page. So without further ado, let's get on with the show.
Hello and welcome to the Wayward Atheist Podcast. I'm Dave, aka the Great White North.
And I'm Dustin Dark.
And tonight we are joined by
Mike Satumbaga.
How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. It's been a while.
It has been a while. So normally at the beginning of the show we normally do a how's your week, but since there's only two of us, we'll bypass that. My week was good. Dustin's week was good. We'll get straight into talking to you because I did enjoy the conversation that we had on the old podcast. So maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you live, what you do.
It's so loaded because where I live, I live in Fresno, or I guess I should say I live in Clovis. Fresno, Clovis is the same thing now to me. From the Central Valley, our cities are so close, it just doesn't even matter, even though you're technically from a city. Yeah, and I'm a military kid, so I was born in Bethesda, Maryland, but I lived everywhere for every 4 years we moved. So I never really had a stable place to live until I was 14-ish. And then so I just that's been my earlies life. And then I'm a software developer. I build apps. I'm a techie. I'm also a nerd. I love Dungeons and Dragons, video games, comics, fucking TV shows. I play video games all day. If I'm not working, which is real sad because I'm playing games and still go in front of a computer for work. And then I love Muay Thai. I'm a martial artist, and I've been a martial artist since 2007, but it's run in my family for the longest time. When I grew up, I remember all my family members just when we get when we have parties, they sit around and just fucking just show each other, show us how to do things. It'd be Aikido shit or fucking Shorin Ryu shit. And it'd be hey, we're gonna punch you in the face and then here's what you do. And then they'll punch me for real. What the fuck?
Yeah, I was gonna say when you were talking about how geeky you are, you're kind of giving this description of the classic, nerd that's gonna get picked on, but let's not get it twisted. You've had professional MMA fights, and you are a high level, compared to the average person, you are a high level Muay Thai practitioner. You will fuck people's shit up if they pick on you.
And I do, and the thing since I did MMA, I do have a jiu-jitsu background. So I did basic jiu-jitsu, but it's when you roll with other people who do jiu-jitsu and they submit you all the time and it's frustrating and then you just get kind of discouraged by it. You just kind of oh, I like the stand-up part because I beat people up more than I get tapped out. So I kind of fell into oh, I like striking versus the ground stuff. But I do know that when I have to go to the ground against someone who has zero skill, I will submit them like I'm a jiu-jitsu master. So I know that exists.
I would say as somebody with Brazilian jiu-jitsu experience, I would say that if you have a guy that's been legit training, say 3 days a week for even 2 months, and you put them against somebody that has no jiu-jitsu training at all, they're going to get tapped every 30 seconds.
Yeah, I was, when I started out, training, it was because I gained weight after high school, everyone really does. And I decided I was gonna lose weight And so like I hate the regular gym because fucking it's annoying. Everybody, there's so much ego in like a regular gym. Like dudes just staring at you, like trying to judge you and shit. I'm like, I can't even deal with this. So I found an MMA gym and I walked in and I started training and I kind of fell in love with it. And then I guess I was getting good, to the point where like my teammates and stuff were like, hey, you should fight. And I never took it seriously until like it was just, hey, we got something for you. You want to do it? They just brought it up to me. It's not like I was ever training to be a fighter. And then anytime they brought something to me, I always just said yes.
And that must have been about after a year or?
About 2 years in, I think.
About 2 years in? Because
Yeah.
if a guy goes into the gym and he's like, he wants to be a fighter, it like, to get to the point where, and this is not like, I'm not talking about UFC level, but to get to the point where you're proficient enough at MMA to fight, it's at least 12 months.
Yeah, it takes a while. And I see it like, cause I know like, you see it in gyms a lot, like, guys will come in and they want to fight. They want to be like the next, GSP. They want to be the next like Conor McGregor. So they'll walk in and then like, you try to show them how to do things and they move so awkwardly because it's just not natural. Like the movements, like actual martial art movements is not natural. Like popular, like the way you punch someone is not it's not a natural movement. It looks kind of awkward. And it's like trying to teach it to them. It's like, you can see how like it's going to take a while.
Especially when they don't have flexible hips yet. Trying to get them to turn the hip when they're kicking, and I get what you're saying. If you don't mind, we'll talk a little bit about the fights that you've had.
Sure.
Can you give us a basic breakdown of what your preparation would be like? Are you working out twice a day at this point? One time a day? What is your diet like?
Oh man, so the thing that was I didn't do correctly was I was going to school and working all at the same time that I was training. So I would train once a day. It was always the night class, and it was probably like an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then that would be it, really. And I was when I actually had the fight, I would have to start dieting. And it was like a very low carb, plants and like, very bland chicken, always chicken, everything chicken. That's pretty much it. And the only time I really had carbs was like on the like the high intensity training days. Mm-hmm. The amateur days, weigh-ins were always going to be the same day. So, weight cutting was brutal. There wasn't a lot of, same day, like sweating out the 10 pounds. You sweat it out the day before. So you like literally would cut your 10 pounds. I was only able to do like a 10-pound water weight, like, cause I wasn't too intense on that whole like weight cutting. So I just kind of fought around 135, 155. And it was always...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it was always just, it was never like weight cutting wasn't too hard for me because I was already that little and I was always training anyways as it was. So it was pretty easy. It was always just the day of the weigh-ins that was that killer because you couldn't eat and you were weak. And then like you knew that you were going to have to fight like in a few hours. So really the painful part was rehydrating and eating again. And it's like, the first time that I did it was so improper. Like, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to slowly, like, the way you dehydrate and fast, you want to do the opposite when you start to eat and hydrate again. So, like, right after the weigh-in, you're supposed to slowly have, like, go drink, like, something with electrolytes, like a Pedialyte or coconut water, and then slowly start to build your way back up to solid foods. But the first time I did this, I literally, fasted, and then cut water like 2 days or a day before. So, and then right after the weigh-in, I went to some Chinese buffet and fucking threw down on Chinese buffet. It was insane. And yeah, I felt awful.
I bet.
Were you still hungry 20 minutes later?
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just had to kick
So the last no-gi, and for the people listening, no-gi, it just means grappling without the gi. The last no-gi tournament I didn't want to cut weight either. And I was actually at a pretty good weight to do middleweight. Like, I was a bit under at the beginning of the week, so I was like around 180. So like, I knew that the other guys would be cutting down from 190, 200. But I thought, me not cutting weight, I'm going to be faster and have more energy than them. But for some reason, I lost a lot of weight that week. And I actually ended up at 174, but I still didn't want to cut the weight. So I went in as a middleweight at 174 pounds, and I won my first match. But then going into the second one, the guy was fucking big. I was faster than him. I was able to take him down. I got mount, but he was just so much bigger. He just basically fucking pushed me off, and he got me in a heel hook after he pushed me off, because like my legs ended up closer to his half, and like he wasn't applying it properly, but I was so tired from trying to push him around because he's so much bigger than me. I just tapped because I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't get up, and we would have just sat there forever. So I just fucking tapped, even though it really wasn't hurting. You're not supposed to do that, but I did anyways.
Yeah.
Because fuck it, it's just a tournament. It's not like a real fight or anything.
Well, for me, it's like that whole. I'm a person that doesn't believe. I hate the weight cutting thing because it's like the advantage aspect, right? Like I'm naturally a stocky guy, so my height, I should be fighting at like 120. I should be like one of those atom weight guys, like 125, 135. But my body just won't get there. Like it's real hard for me to get to that point. And what I felt like I was at my healthiest was when I was at 155. And like, the doctors would still, like, if you look at that doctor chart that says like your height to your weight proportion, technically I was obese at that time, but I was the most in shape I've ever been. I had like a 6-pack and all this stuff. I looked good, and I was like, fuck. But it's weird, but that sucks because every guy that fights at 155 is cutting from like 170 or something like that. So they're like much bigger dudes that I'm fighting.
Yeah, and there's lightweights now that are like 6'2", like fucking close to 200 pounds. It's crazy how much weight some of these guys are cutting.
Yeah, all for the advantage, and I really don't like that aspect of the training. And like, one of the things that I really liked about Pride with those open weight tournaments that they had, where it was you'd see dudes who were like heavyweights squaring off with like lightweights and shit. Like, that was insane.
Yeah, but then you get into situations where like Vanderlei gets head kicked by Mirko, and it's not fair at that point, right?
Yeah, well, he did good the first time they fought. They fought to a draw, so that was a really fun thing. But yeah, I feel like around that time he was starting to finally decline. He's my Vanderlei Silva is the reason why I got into Muay Thai and like MMA, because the viciousness of that dude appealed to me. Because like, so my origin story for like
I love how you said origin story. It's so awesome. You're such a nerd. Anyways, go on.
That's literally like for me, like I was that kind of nerdy kid, right? So like I was picked on, and because of that, I fucking hated it. Like I got my first fight. I got into I got in the bathroom, and there's like 4 kids, some like poser gangbangers. They jumped me in the bathroom, and I didn't know how to fight then. And like I only had been watching like WWF shit, so I fucking grabbed one of them and DDT'd them into a urinal, but I got my ass kicked the rest of the way. But I remember DDTing the dude into a urinal, and I felt so good about it.
That would still hurt like fuck, man.
So you didn't give anyone like the Stone Cold Stunner or anything?
No, I wanted to so bad though. No, I was like trying so hard for a power bomb though. Like I wanted to drop someone so hard onto the cement floor, but like I couldn't pick anyone up.
Oh, you're taking me all the way back to 4th grade. Thank you.
Yeah, but
I suddenly smelt what The Rock was cooking, and it's been a long time.
Yeah, no, I got beat up, and like I got home, and like my dad was like, pissed off, and he's like, "Here, we're gonna start doing stuff. We're gonna start training." So I started training like little bits with like he was a boxer in the Navy, so I got basic boxing lessons with him, and like my uncle, he's a Shorin Ryu guy, so he would also come over like on the weekends.
For the folks at home, that's karate.
Yeah, it's some form of, I just, that's all I noticed. I didn't even realize that it was kind of karate.
Yeah, well, you have to explain it because not too many people would have heard of it before.
Yeah. So I would learn stuff from them, from just kind of trying to really get it by because I didn't want to get beat up again. I even learned how to do nunchucks because I wanted to be like Bruce Lee. And that's like one thing I told my dad, and my dad knows how to do nunchucks. So I was like, I bought you some nunchucks. And we bought the metal ones, so if you fuck up, it's gonna hurt. That way you don't fuck up.
Yeah, one question before we move on. I heard that nunchucks were actually Filipinos created the nunchuck. Is that true?
I don't think so. I think
okay.
I know we have the Eskrima sticks, and then we have like the Baisong knife, the butterfly knife.
Yeah.
And then I hear these weird rumors about like that we created the yo-yo as a weapon, but I don't think it was a weapon. Like I don't think they actually used it as a weapon. I think that
is beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for that. Oh,
I think all of the yo-yo was just like an actual street toy. So
no sir, you can't take this from me now. I'm just picturing Asian guys running through the streets just like wha-pow with yo-yos. Oh, dude, that's a comic book now. Someone make the comic book.
So, how old are you at this point, Mike?
30, or at the time of the story, or right now?
Yeah, at the time of the story, not right now.
Fuck. I don't know. I guess I would be like 16.
Okay, so you're high school when these people are fucking with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was fine, like in the elementaries. When I got to like the high school kind of age, that's when like shit started to go down. And like most of it honestly was like racism. It was like I said, I live in Fresno, but my hometown is Lemoore, California. It's an ag town. It's by a Navy base, and it's a very conservative town. And there's I remember bringing my lunch to school one day, and it's this Filipino sausage. It's called longanisa, and it's like my favorite longanisa.
So what is it, like 3 inches long?
You know what? It's fat. That's all I'll say.
They call it the cheese well.
You didn't, but tell me that you didn't bring that. What's that egg delicacy, guys?
Balut? No.
Yeah, you didn't bring balut, right?
No.
Because if you did, you deserve that shit.
Oh, no, I agree. That's Fear Factor shit.
Yeah. Do you know what that is, Dustin? Explain it for people that don't know what it is, Mike.
Oh, give it to me.
So, balut is this, it's this, hard-boiled egg, right? But it's like a quail egg or some kind of, like, bird. And it's not just hard boiled. It's they boil it at a certain point of like the it has a duck fetus inside it. And some people say that would
it be a duck egg?
Well, I say duck egg, but it could be like, I don't know, maybe a chicken sometimes.
You said a
quail.
Duck fetus, so
yeah, just a bird fetus like this.
Okay.
It's developed enough so that you can tell it's a bird.
Ah, gotcha.
People like the people who eat it, like they claim that like their favorite part is like when they get to like the duck bill or the bill of the thing, and it's like crunchy, and I'm like, oh, that's so gross. Oh, I can't even stand it. I can't even think about it. It's so gross. I'm getting all weirded. No, but I brought this Filipino sausage and rice to school one day, and like, you know, obviously like the someone's gonna make a comment on it, and like they're like, what is that, dog? And like from then on, I was like, I'm just gonna bring sandwiches.
But that's fucked up.
That is. It's like, how are you going to judge somebody about their food? Like, who gives a shit what people eat, really, in reality?
Well, I will also admit, like, most of our food stinks like shit, but it's so good.
See, if you're going to be a bully, don't be like a racist bully. Oh, just beat him up and take his food. That way he's proud of it. They did it all wrong. And then you would have got into fighting earlier. The whole thing would have been fixed.
Yeah. But
yeah,
no,
so
high school was rough. It was one of those. That's when I experienced a lot of bullying, and like because of that, like I wanted to cue like a training montage where the guy who decides to pick on me on the wrong day gets it. And unfortunately, I didn't fight in high school. It was always they stopped picking on me because they realized I would stand up. But then, the thing is, I guess that they realize is no one really, in high school, no one actually really wants to fight. They pick on the kids that they know that they will kind of be submissive.
Yeah.
They'll be like, But the moment you stand up to them, they'll be like, yeah, man, yeah. Alright, yeah. You scared? I'm like, no, you want to throw down? They'll be like, and they're like, it'll just be like a circle until someone breaks it up.
Yeah, which is good, I guess. I mean,
yeah,
that they're just practicing for later on the puffy chest thing around the office. So how old were you when you walked into the MMA gym?
I think 18 or 19. It was sometime before like I started. It was during like maybe my first year in college or so. It was pretty early. And it was like a Krav Maga, like this main discipline. And then like they would teach like an MMA class where they had like a cage and they did like this whole like, and I had already been watching MMA. We discovered it and became fans of like, I think around the Tito Ortiz, Ken Shamrock days, like,
the rivalry.
Yeah, that's when I got like super into it. But like I'd seen a few of the old like videos every now and then, but never really like sat down to watch it.
Okay, well, why don't you take us to the time when and I probably should have done this right after the weight cutting thing, but take us to the time where you've accepted your first fight. Kind of like what, like. Tell us if you had anxiety about it, or if you just you felt good about it, and then kind of like what it's like sitting in the back, your feelings waiting for your name to be called, and then kind of like the feeling that you get when you're walking out.
So I'll go with my first fight. Like so I would technically be called a pro fighter because I did fight like one pro fight, but I have a more of an amateur record. So like my amateur record would be like 7-3, I think. All losses by ground stuff. But my first fight, my friend became sort of like my manager, and he would just start setting up these fights for me. And my first fight was at like this old the old Fairtex gym, and I was really stoked because I knew like the California Kid was training there with some of the like these top ties that I've been like watching for a long time, and I had to pay a fee, and so like that's the other thing that I like when you're starting out, you pay money to fight because you have to pay like I had to get blood work done. So like this was all maybe like a week before. I had to get, you had to schedule blood work to some weird place, and you get your blood drawn to see if you have diseases. Then you have to file like some licensing that states it has a bunch of like connotations. It's just one, to say that you're a fighter. Two, the part of that agreement is that you will not like actually get into fights anymore because that you are a trained fighter, and that you would be considered a deadly weapon. And I used to joke about that, like, damn, that makes me sound badass. Like, I can't, like, if you get into a street fight, like, yo, I can't do shit because I might fuck you up. But we drove ourselves from like my hometown, Lemoore, to San Francisco 3 hours. It's like a 3-hour drive. And so like we drove, and it was like, there was this weird hyped feeling like we were going to Disneyland. Like, that's the best way I can explain that kind of anxiety. It's like an excited kind of anxiety. And then we would pull over at like some rest stop, and like to stretch our legs, our guy would hold mitts for us, while he was smoking a cigarette, and like like he had the cigarette in his mouth, and he'd be holding pads for us, like at the rest stop, like we on the green, like. I
gotta say, this sounds like the worst manager ever. So you're paying the promotion to fight, and he's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth around athletes within like 2 feet of an athlete. He's puffing away. Sounds like the worst manager ever. Oh yeah.
So we got there, and it's. You can see that, like, it's not like the normal scenario. You don't see things like this, and it's like there's people around. They've got the TVs up, and it's weird. There's just like a weird atmosphere and air that's kind of about, like, you can see like the fighter shadow boxing, and it's I never realized like that's what I'm like. That's gonna be me next. Like, I'm gonna be one of these people, and so like. We're just kind of walking around, talking to people, and like trying to get not really think about what's going on. Really, you're just kind of there. And then all the while, this is all why we're still fasting, and while we're still like dehydrating, like the day before. And so like we're waiting for the weigh-ins, and it's all like crazy. Like, there's just people all over the place. And they finally call your name, and then like the worst part for me is always the weigh-ins, because you have to strip down, and like I'm like in my boxers. I like got my SpongeBob boxers on. It's that's the other thing. I made my SpongeBob boxers become like my signature weigh-in thing. Like, I'm gonna wear these every time I do a weigh-in. Like, it's part of my characters, like to show like I'm not taking this too serious. So we did the weigh-ins, and then we have to do the presser stuff, right? Like, where they set you up face to face with the guy. And this is the first time I've ever done like a stare down. And I've wanted to be like Vanderlei Silva. So you you stand up in front of him, you put up your fist like you're about to fight, and you stare him in the eyes. And it's so awkward. Like, because you don't really hate the guy, or you don't even know the guy. You're just staring at him in his face, and you're trying to act like you're mean. And I realized that's not my personality. So it was weird for me. So I just kind of like, I looked awful during it. And then we turn around, and then we went away. And I'm like, okay, that was just, I don't like that.
Knowing how nice you are, I think it would be kind of, it would be unbecoming of you. Like, it wouldn't be your personality to walk up there and to start mean mugging. I think that you,
because I thought that's what they wanted, because like when they do the face-offs, that's what I figured that like, oh, you have to do this, and I'm like, it just, I hated it just because it was it was not natural, and it's like, what do you even like? Yeah, we're gonna throw down later, but it's gonna be fine.
Hey guys. The interview with Michael did run a little longer than expected, so what we've done is we've uploaded half of the interview in this week's episode, but we'll be making the full version of the interview available for Patreons on our Patreon webpage. And we're back from the break. Dustin has a fantastic article for us about Donald Trump's complete and utter failure at trying to pass a retarded health care.
So this article is in The Guardian. It's called Donald Trump Blames Democrats for Stunning Failure to Repeal Obamacare. And it was written by Ben Jacobs and David Smith. Weeks of negotiations over American Health Care Act failed to build a GOP consensus, forcing President to pull legislation from House vote. Donald Trump suffered a major legislative reversal on Friday as Republicans were forced to pull their repeal of the Affordable Care Act from the House floor. After weeks of contentious negotiations over the American Health Care Act, Republicans had to admit defeat as they could not gain sufficient support from their own side for the plan to overhaul U.S. health insurance. Speaking afterward in the Oval Office, Trump blamed Democrats for the failure of a bill to repeal the signature achievement of Barack Obama. If Democrats got together with us and got us a real health care bill, I'd be totally okay with that. The losers are Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Because they own Obamacare. They 100% own it, he said. I kind of pride myself in a certain extent of being able to kind of understand people when they're not being very clear or they're not very well spoken. I mean, I am from Alabama. What did he just say?
I really don't know.
What?
I really don't know. And the other thing is, like, people seem to like Obamacare better than the plan that he was putting forward. So, yeah, own that shit, Nancy Pelosi.
I mean, but like he's saying that if they brought together a real healthcare bill, you're in charge now. You're the president, and your party has the House and everything. What, like, what? How are you blaming anyone for this?
I really don't know, but they failed while Obama was in office 50 times to get it repealed. Obama's out of fucking office, and they still can't repeal this shit. But not in the way that in a good way. It's that they didn't strip it down enough, you know?
Yeah. Well, no, you're absolutely right. Let's keep moving in this, though. Trump refused to bash the House Speaker Paul Ryan, but declined to answer a question about policy changes he would like to see in health reform. Instead, he said he was ready to move on to tax reform, saying, "We're probably going to start going very strongly on big tax cuts. Tax reform will be next." God, that sentence is murder too. We start going very strongly on big tax cuts.
I can't imagine they're going to be good.
Oh shit, we'll find out, won't we? This is what really got me. He added, we all learned a lot. We learned a lot about loyalty. And I read in another article that he said we learned a lot about vote getting right after that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of finishes the quote. It's kind of menacing without the end of the quote there, right?
Yeah.
We learned a lot about loyalty. Like, I mean, are we going to open gulags? Or no. I just mean that the party's not going to vote on a shitty bill just because I'm the party leader.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he learned.
But the party didn't. Okay, you're looking at it and thinking it's a shitty bill. Good, they didn't vote on it. They didn't vote on it because it wasn't shitty enough.
Oh, I know. It's really. Well, I never had health insurance, even with Obamacare, so it's not going to fuck me over, man. It's really not.
Let me ask you a question. How'd you get away without having Obamacare?
How'd I get away without having Obamacare?
I thought everybody was supposed to have insurance.
Well, okay, so the way Obamacare, which is a patchwork of systems, right?
Yes.
So the way it was supposed to work is Obamacare kicks in once you get above what the state is going to help you with, right? They're supposed to cover that gap, and a lot of states in the South refused, right? So I make too much money to get help with like Medicare or Medicaid or anything like that to the state for being poor. But I make too much money to get like a really good deal with Obamacare. I could get insurance through the company that I work with, but it would just be murder. I might as well get Obamacare and then it wouldn't do me a lot of service. it really comes down to I can't afford, $50, $60 coming out of my pocket every paycheck or even every other paycheck. It's been a pretty tight go just to get things going as much as I have.
I thought it was the law, though, that you had to have health insurance.
Yes, and since I didn't have health insurance, I had a significant portion of my taxes withheld, my tax return.
So does this withholding of your taxes now get you health care?
No.
So why are they withholding your taxes then?
It's a penalty for not having insurance.
Okay, so you can't afford insurance. Let me try to Canadian logic this, okay?
Oh, we're fucked.
You can't afford insurance because minimum wage is too low.
Which I don't make minimum wage, but yeah.
Your wage is too low, right? So start it off. United States doesn't have universal health care. You work for a company that doesn't pay you enough.
What happened is the state refused to step up their coverage for medical care for poor people to meet where Obamacare starts, right? And I am one of the very Republican states that just said, fuck you, because it's Obamacare.
Yes, I understand that part. I'm just trying to get to the logic in...
There's no logic.
Look, you don't earn enough to get to pay for insurance yourself. You fall in between the cracks. You're not poor enough. And so to penalize you for not being able to afford health care, they take more of your money. How is this going to make you be able to afford health care if they take money? I could see them like taking the money and putting it to a healthcare and then saying, here, Dustin, here's your healthcare that you didn't want to pay for, but they're still not giving you any fucking healthcare. That is worse than taking taxes off your check and putting it into a universal healthcare plan where you would be fucking covered. What the actual fuck is going on?
I don't really have a good answer for you here, Dave. You're asking me like I know. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry, man.
We're failing Canada. No. We're down here in the South failing Canada. We're not living up to your high standards.
No, you're failing your government is failing you.
Yes.
You're not failing Canada.
Yes, that's correct. No, you're that was sarcasm and you know it, you douche.
I know it was.
We're okay. So, okay, a lot of people here have a fundamental misunderstanding of what healthcare is, and I also think there's this stranglehold between the government and the healthcare system where there's all this tax money made off also inflated prices, right? Because all that's tax. So, and then all these jobs and how our GDP is inflated by healthcare too, right? The outrageous prices.
You also spend a huge portion of your GDP on a healthcare system that is broken and is for profit, that is not covering everybody, especially somebody like you. Your country spends 45% more on healthcare than mine does, and everybody's covered here.
All right, so, well, Dave, I think a lot of it comes from just a fundamental misunderstanding of the way universal healthcare works, and some not uniquely American, but some particularly strong mindsets that are found in America that I think has really prevented us from getting into it. So one of the misconceptions is things like, systems like Canada or the United Kingdom have very long wait periods before you can see a doctor or get treated.
No.
So that's just not your experience with the system at all?
No, not my experience with it. I've had operation twice. I was in the same day, both times. Those were broken bones. Both of them were broken bones. I had them operated on the same day. If I go to the emergency room, depending on what day and what time I get there, I don't wait more than a couple hours. I mean, like on a Friday night in a city of 1 million people, you can expect to wait longer here or in the U.S. That's going to be the situation. Some things you will wait for because it's priority medicine, right? So like if I have a water on my knee and I'm waiting to see the surgeon for water on my knee and somebody else comes in and their fucking kneecap is split in half or, they're having a heart attack or whatever the situation may be, they'll go in before me because theirs is a lot more serious than mine. In some cities, in some situations, some people have waited, but overall, it's far better to wait a little while than to, go bankrupt or even die not having services. And just because our healthcare system, a lot of it is not run properly because it's run by bureaucrats instead of doctors, that doesn't mean that the United States can't just do it better, right? Like, you can look at all the countries and say, this is a mistake, this is a mistake. The bureaucrats are running the healthcare. Let's have doctors run the healthcare. Let's ask them the best way forward and do it that way, and maybe try to because you're already pumping way more money into it than we are. If you took 20% of your GDP into a universal healthcare system, man, you guys would have the best healthcare ever, because then the money's going to the patient instead of the insurance company, and instead of overpriced medical supplies from, the medical supply companies and the prescription companies. Like, our prescriptions are less than half the cost of what yours are. So just say you want inhalers, 2 inhalers are going to cost you $600. It's $120 here for 2 inhalers and EpiPens and stuff like that.
I mean, well, you make a pretty good case there. Okay, so let's think of another excuse I've heard. Well, I'll just think from an American mindset. I think a lot of people want to earn it, right? Or they just have this automatic negative reaction against a social type of program like that, right?
Okay, but you already are paying. That's my point. You're already paying 20% of your GDP for government-funded programs that are overpriced because of the fact that your healthcare system is for profit instead of for patient.
Right. I think there's also like a distrust of government not using it in a negative way. There's the whole death penalty thing when Obama was pushing for the Affordable Care Act in the first place.
That's just silly.
And to be honest, hold on. And to be honest, by death penalty, what they meant was doctors deciding who is worth and who isn't worth investing money to save, right? And that is something that's going to happen to a certain extent.
No, that's what happens already in your country. That's what's happening right now.
Right. It's an insurance board instead of doctors, right?
No, but I mean, like, if you're a fucking bum, I watch documentaries on it. If you're a bum, they take you to the hospital puts you in a cab and sends you away. They don't do that here.
Right, but these aren't bums. We're talking like they're not concerned with that. They're thinking about them and what they want. Okay,
but that doesn't happen. Like, what they're thinking about is, if I go to the hospital and fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger's there and we have the exact same fucking problem, whoever got there first gets seen first.
I think it's more like, I have cancer.
Okay.
Right. And they've decided that it's going to cost way too much money to try to treat cancer that is not cured.
That never happens.
I'm sure. I'm saying that's the type of thing that they're afraid of.
Okay, but your insurance companies do that.
Absolutely, yeah. They do. And in a strange way, we trust businesses more than we trust governments, which I don't trust either one of them, to be honest.
Just the thought process behind it. They're worried about, like, the people that you're speaking about are worried about the healthcare system that you have, not the healthcare system that you don't have. They're worried that they're going to be turned away because their sickness is too much or it doesn't fall within these parameters, where here, if you're sick, you get treated. I have a buddy that moved here from Texas. He's living in Alberta, and he has a bad back, and he's not quite a citizen yet, so he doesn't have full Alberta healthcare. But he pays out of pocket for it, but he said it's super cheap compared to down there. Anyways, he said that he's never been treated so well, that when he goes to the doctor here, he feels like the doctor is actually listening. They're trying to actually find out what the problem is and make his life easier, instead of just going there and the doctor just giving him a prescription and sending him on his way and keeping him hopped up on fucking Vicodin all the time, or whichever pain pills he was getting before. That here he felt like he was actually being cared for, and that they were trying to find a way for him to live without pain, without having to be always on prescription painkillers.
Well, I gotta say, man, I would really prefer to have your system any day of the week.
Well, that brings me into something that I wanted to bring up here. Okay.
Okay.
So, in the wake of GOP failure on healthcare, Sanders to push single-payer option. So Bernie Sanders is, I know it's not going to work. Like, I'm not fucking that naive. But just the fact that he's bringing the bill to the floor, I think, is a good thing. So it says Senator Bernie Sanders plans to propose a single-payer healthcare program. The Vermont Independent says he intends to reach across the aisle to advance the plan. Now that Republican efforts to pass sweeping healthcare legislation have failed, Bernie Sanders plans to propose a healthcare system funded entirely by taxpayers. Speaking on the State of the Union on Sunday, Sanders told CNN Dana Bash that he intends to introduce legislation outlining a Medicaid for all single-payer healthcare plan, and he will reach out to President Trump to help advance it. Ideally, where we should be going is to join the rest of the industrialized world and guarantee healthcare to all people as a right, Sanders said. That's why I'm going to introduce a Medicaid for all single-payer program. Such a plan would likely face certain defeat in Congress, but calling the GOP healthcare bill a disastrous piece of legislation that should have been defeated, Sanders acknowledges that Obamacare has serious problems.
I think that makes a lot of sense. You would have to address a lot of the structure and a lot of the waste, a lot of things that we waste money on in the United States before you could go too far with the Medicare for all, because then it would be much more than 20%.
Yeah.
Right? Part of our problem is that insurance companies have the ability to negotiate down the price of healthcare bills, and facilities know this, so they raise the prices up of services so that they can make their money anyway. So when a normal person like me walks in that doesn't have a team of lawyers, I get railed.
Yeah.
And if that type of thing isn't stopped, and this kind of price gouging that happens in a lot of American hospitals isn't put to a stop, then it really would bankrupt the company to try to pay for everyone's health care, right? So there has to be reform deeper than just the government paying for everybody's health care.
I think Bernie Sanders most likely knows that, and
right.
And he had said that if Canada can do it, so can you, which is true. There's no reason why you can't. But the hospitals have to be switched from the for-profit to a non-profit situation. We do have things that here that are privately owned by doctors. They're called walk-in clinics, or like there would be, like your family doctor would be there. But there are also places where you can go if you say have the flu or you sprained your ankle and see a physician. And they're owned by the doctor, but they're paid by the government, and the prices are already set at what they're going to receive from the government. But it's actually the taxpayer that's ultimately paying for it. And I think that if you had a civilian overview added to Bernie Sanders' plan to kind of try to reel that spending in that's going on with the healthcare, I think civilian overviews would be good for almost all aspects of government. I think there should always be a civilian overview. I think that as the voters, we should be allowed at any time to go in and see where our money's going. I can't remember if it's Italy or it's either Italy or Germany where you're on. No, it was Portugal. Where your tax dollars go comes on your pay stub. So it shows exactly which department and how it was used comes on your pay stub, instead of just we've taken $600 off your pay. I fully support that.
I mean, I can back that myself.
Yeah. So I think the one thing that I think that Bernie Sanders, when reaching out to Donald Trump, should bring up the fact that at the beginning of the primaries and prior to the primaries, he praised Canada for universal health care. He's praised Scotland for universal health care. He just said that the United States can't do it. That is just an appeasement to the Republican Party. I think Bernie Sanders needs to hit him with that. He already knows that it works, and he's already on video saying that it works.
Right.
I really hope that the United States not comes to a census, because it's easy to say, oh, you're stupid for not having health care, but it's a system that you guys have had. We actually haven't had it we're not the longest running universal healthcare country in the world, and we had our problems implementing it too. Like the scare of communism was about, and doctors went on strike and all kinds of stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that you can't do it, and it doesn't mean that you can't do it better. So moving forward, I think that's should be the number one goal of a left voter or even a right voter, because if you came here, you couldn't die of healthcare card from a dead fucking conservative's hand.
Well, what I would say is that I hope we get to the bottom of whatever it is we need to do to make sure that people in this country have access to healthcare, right? Whether it be to scrap the system we have and start something over, whether it be to work with Obamacare, whether, single payer, Medicare for all. I don't know enough about it, and I haven't dug into it very much because I'm a young man. I'm not thinking about health as much as someone that just turned 40.
Cocksucker.
But I hope we'll figure it out, but sadly I don't think we will. I don't.
No, can I ask you a question before we close out on this segment?
Sure.
Do you think you don't think about it because it's not available to you, but that if you had health care, you'd be thinking about it more often?
I think part of it, it's probably a little bit of both. It's probably a little bit of both. Part of it is definitely just the culture that I've grown up in and the way I was raised. The hospitals are for dead and dying people. You got to keep in mind that my father that raised me grew up on a farm right at the end of that get hookworm period. Mm-hmm. Right. So, I have some really old school values, I guess, deep down inside in some weird ways. And that's one of them, I think that hospital resources should be reserved for those that are ill, and I am not. And I know that doesn't make a lot of sense to people, and I get that there's some flaws in that. That's just the instinct I have.
Okay, we're going to close out the segment. We'll be right back. And we're back from the break, and in this segment, we're going to do Piss on This. Tonight we have 2 clips for you, one from Coast to Coast, and I wish Art Bell was on it, but he's not, and of course one from Alex Jones.
I've been listening to Coast for a little while, listening for something that was good enough to bring on the show, and of course this is a new segment, so we're trying to figure out exactly what is worthy to piss on. I think this qualifies. So we're going to get into this, and I've named the clips as usual. The first one is very typical for Coast to Coast. It's "We Saw UFO."
Carla's in the Queens in New York. Welcome to the show. Hello, Carla.
Anyway, listen, I am haunted by something.
Uh-oh.
When my daughter, she is now like 36, 37, but when she was around 15.
And I just want to point out that her daughter is around 15 when this happened, and now she's like 37. So it's been a while. Keep those ages in mind.
It's 22 years.
And she was, going through the teen stage, and she was like, she didn't want to go here, she didn't want to, whatever. I took her out, we grabbed something, some food, and with the car we went to Whitestone. There's the bridge there where you could kind of hang out, and you see the Throgs Neck Bridge and the Whitestone Bridge. We ate there, and a flying saucer without, I'm telling you, this thing came out of nowhere, okay?
How big?
Huge. It must have been, I don't know, I can't even tell you. It's huge.
So they go out to have dinner with their daughter, and they see a giant UFO over the water.
Ooge. Bigly.
Huge. Bigly ooge. Yeah, all right. Let's see what happens next. I'm a little intrigued.
And it came out of nowhere, like this, and it
stopped. Hang on 1 second. Is that how,
just like that? That's how it showed up. It appeared out of nowhere. Yeah. But it did come with sound effects. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was over the water, and this thing stopped, and just you could feel it looking at you.
If it's a spaceship, it doesn't stare at you, you stupid motherfucker.
Okay, so it's actually really common among a lot of people that claim they see UFOs to say that they feel some kind of emotion or psychological feeling from the ship, right? Like people will say, I was compelled to go outside, and then I looked up at the sky and I saw a spaceship, and I knew that I was meant to, people say that type of shit all the time.
Yeah, it's called sleep paralysis. But go ahead, go on.
Well, apparently she was having a seizure while she had a burger with her daughter.
You could feel it. It was round, okay? I never saw anything like this up close.
Did you see any texture to it or anything like that?
It was all metal. It looked all metal, okay? And it had lights underneath.
Was it smooth, or did you see bolts and rivets or anything?
It was smooth and round, just like you see in the movies, I'm telling you.
Just like in the movies. If anyone's ever, listening, has ever seen Requiem for a Dream, she reminds me of the mother from that movie. Why do you have to hurt me, Marty? Why do you have to hurt me?
And she's describing exactly what the UFOs are.
Saucer-shaped or more like a globe?
What do you mean? What?
Was it saucer-shaped or more like a globe?
Saucer-shaped.
Okay.
And the top had a dome.
Uh-huh. All right.
So it was round, and it had a dome on top, and the lights were underneath, and when it stopped, these lights were blinking going around underneath, okay? I mean, just like...
It's a classic.
Yeah, unbelievable, but we both saw it. I'm not crazy.
Just like an airplane.
Oh no, you're totally crazy. All right, so people might be listening to this thinking this isn't very funny, this isn't that crazy, right? It's just a UFO sighting, and there's a lot of those, but it's about to get good. And real quick, he's going to put her up to the truth test to see if she's lying.
So we're both looking at it, and we're saying, look at this. I said, you could feel it was looking at you. And then it lifted, okay? It started to it backed up, and then just as fast, it disappeared.
Just like a cartoon. It had to go into reverse to pull out of the parking spot.
Exactly.
And then it zoomed out into the sky. I can even see it making like a little check mark pattern.
Yeah, why would it...
Why would it reverse? Why would it reverse? Yeah.
And how?
Well, they're traveling between galaxies. Let's not ask how.
Okay, yeah.
Let's just say, why the fuck? You don't back up a helicopter before you go forward.
They have the technology to bend space and time itself, the space fabric, to get from one fucking part of the universe to the other, and they chose to hover over top of crazy bitch from fucking New Jersey while she's eating a burger, stare at her for a couple seconds, give her the oogie boogies, then back up and leave.
Pretty much. And I'm waiting on the Martian from Looney Tunes to hop out of this thing. She's just painting such a cartoonish picture.
Yeah.
But let's get to the truth test.
Okay.
Just like that, like a blink of an eye.
I mean, it went, but with such speed and velocity that it disappeared. You understand?
Did you see any occupants up there in the dome portion?
No.
Okay.
No, because we were I don't know. We were just taken so back. But now here...
By the way, you just passed the truth test. Did you know that?
Dave, what was the truth test?
I didn't realize that there was a test. He asked her a question. He asked her, "Did you see anybody in the dome?" So that must have been the test. But I don't see how saying that I saw the aliens is any damn crazier than saying that a fucking UFO hovered over me while I ate a goddamn cheeseburger.
Right. Well, he's going to explain to her what the test was. So
I can't wait.
We're going to get to know the high bar for skepticism here at Coast to Coast.
I can't wait.
I call this clip Honest Abe.
What? I'm always truthful.
I know, but you just passed it.
Oh, good.
Because if you were making this story up, you would have continued and you would have said, yes, there were little people running around up there.
Oh, no.
But you didn't. You passed the truth test.
Yeah, I'm very always... If I tell you something, I'm very honest. I'm telling you,
It's a low bar.
She's honest. Just ask her. She'll tell you all about herself.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that you just passed the I'm a dumbass test? Because I believe that you saw a UFO based on the fact that you said you didn't see any little people running around up there. Look, it's a UFO. It's a UFO, not TLC.
To be fair, what he's saying is, I tried to give you a little extra piece of information to see if you would just add it to your story, but you didn't. You have your own story and you want to tell it, your way. So that means you're being honest. That's the way I took it.
Yeah, and four people will get my TLC joke.
I didn't get it. Sorry.
Little people.
No, I'm sorry.
There was a long running TV show on TLC called Little People.
Oh.
So I saw it, and that was it. Okay. She's always moody, whatever, but here's where I am haunted, because
what happened?
we were interested. I mean, it was an experience that we wowed it, and they do exist. I know they exist, and I know paranormal exists, because I've had many paranormal experiences that are wild, but they were true.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
You know what her language intonation reminds me of?
Who was that?
Donald Trump.
Yeah. A lot of people say that, he's just talking garbage and word salad. They don't understand the way, middle America, a lot of very average Americans talk.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, we're sitting behind a microphone, so we're a little better spoken than most people, right? And a lot of people that really engage in politics, too deeply engage in politics, a lot of them are wordsmiths, right? They forget that a lot of America doesn't know the difference between a subjective and an objective opinion or view or anything like that, right? They don't understand. They would ask you, what? What's epistemology? What?
Yeah.
And that's not a shit on anybody. They just, we're into something different than everyone else. And Donald Trump speaks that, God, I wish there was a nicer way to say it. Like, that's, what do you say, man?
She does need professional help, though.
No, she does. And that's why I call this segment that. Like, I have family that has several, a lifelong series of paranormal activities. Seriously, if you're having a life of paranormal activities, seek help.
Also, if there was a UFO, that's not paranormal.
That is correct. Well, I'm going to say there's no such thing as paranormal in the first place. Everything's normal. They're just normal. They're just normal. What?
Damn.
I know I've ruined it for you.
No, I've always said this, though, that, so if there is supernatural occurrences and you are able to detect them or use something from the natural world to capture evidence of it, then that supernatural thing now becomes a natural phenomenon. So if you even proved it, it would become natural.
That's what I was saying by there's no such thing as paranormal. Anyway, so now we're about to start getting into why I brought this clip in here. This next clip is called Taking an Odd Turn, I'd say.
Like calling into a radio show to tell people about a UFO sighting that you've had, and that you've had many wild, crazy, paranormal activities, and you're telling the truth. That wasn't an odd turn?
No, sir. It's about to get disturbing. It's how about this? My feelings were hurt when I listened to this.
Anyway, but this is what bothers me. She was a child that really loved me, and we were very close, and we could get along so well, very harmonious, and she was a good child, an obedient child, okay?
Yeah.
But now, and it took me several years to finally say, oh, well, we saw that saucer. And then here is what I want to discuss, this doppelganger business, okay? I experienced it. I was in the house, and she was in her room, and I see her in one of my nightgowns, okay?
Oh, boy.
Because she did have the habit of going and getting whatever she would borrow my clothes and whatever. But that particular morning, I saw her going through the hallway, like from the from her bedroom, you go into the kitchen, then you go into my room, and there's a hallway in between. And I see her crossing the hallway, going in my room, and she's wearing one of my nightgowns.
So you think that's her, right?
That was her. So I called her name. I said, hey, so I come into the bedroom. I'm calling her. I don't see her in the bedroom.
There she is, right?
No. And I'm calling her, and she's answered. She says, what are you calling me? She's talking to me from her bedroom.
Where she always was.
Where she always was. She never left. So I went to her, and she's not in my nightgown. She's in her own nightgown.
What?
And we're talking about, just cotton stuff. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking anything fancy, but whatever. And I said, I saw you going in my room, and you were wearing one of my nightgowns. She says, I've been here. What's wrong with you? I haven't left my room. And ever since then, George, things started happening.
Okay. So this woman is fucking seeing things clearly.
Okay. I titled that one, So You Had a Mini Stroke. All right.
Yes.
So this one's called Fuck You, Douchebag.
Did you think she was lying to you?
No, because I know what I saw, and I know I'm fully sane. And she didn't lie to me because she wasn't even wearing what I saw her wearing.
And the doppelganger is the opposite of the individual. So if the individual is a nice person, a good girl,
yes,
the doppelganger won't be.
Are you fitting into this lady's delusion that her daughter was replaced by an evil fucking alien, you piece of shit?
Of course he is.
What the fuck? Like, at some extent, like, I get that you have a show to sell, right? I get it. Let people, but you have to say, oh, now come on. Chances are, your 37-year-old daughter's not the same person she was when she was 14.
Yeah, and the other thing too is I just love how he asserts the doppelganger is the opposite of,
right,
like you have fucking evidence ever of a fucking doppelganger.
Right. As we know, a doppelganger is, so you're a nice, good girl. However good she was, this woman, your child, is just as evil as that girl was good.
And an alien.
And he's fucking feeding into that shit. So, this clip is called, Oh, I Hate You More Than I Hate Alex Jones.
Well, listen to me. She's not good anymore. And this is what...
What do you mean?
To think, and that's how I put that day with the saucer, and this happening.
Well, what do you mean she's not good anymore?
No, she fluctuates. She loves me, but she's not good.
How old is she now?
She's like 36, 37, and she's way out of character. She has been out of character since
this episode.
Age, yes, it's that age.
How do you know that she is not the doppelganger?
What do you say at this point? Like he's feeding into it. He's making it worse.
I'm in shock. I want to say something funny, but I'm actually pissed off.
Right. That's why I sent this to Ed, and I was like, "Is this too depressing for the show?" And he's like, "No, I think this is fucked up enough to cover."
Yeah, It's not too depressing for the show. It's just this guy is a real piece of shit.
He's a real fucking scumbag. He really is.
That woman needs actual professional help.
Yeah.
Not
like
crazy town douchebag DJ.
Like, these have been joke titles, but, I'm joking so that I'm not really getting fucking upset. It's like, Jesus Christ. So I called this one, Excuse Me While I Use Your Pain.
Dear God, that's what I don't know what to tell you.
And I'm not trying to get you
about this.
I'm not trying to get you upset here.
No, but listen, you're not getting me upset. I've been upset. What is that? I don't know enough about these. I tried to look up doppelganger online. I tried to do some research on it, but I don't.
I've got a guest coming up next week. Her name's Heidi Hollis. You have to call in when we take calls with her.
So another bullshit con artist piece of shit can play play into this clearly sick person's delusions that their fucking daughter has been switched with an evil fucking alien, you scumbag piece of motherfucking dog shit.
That's right. That's right. So that he can sell more advertisement slots. Yeah, that's the show.
May the fleas of 1,000 camels' assholes infest your armpits, sir.
Yeah. So we have one more clip of this, and then we're gonna move on to Alex Jones to kind of lighten up the feeling.
Heidi Hollis.
Hollis, yes, she's an expert.
Well, because now, what do I do? What do you do in a situation?
Well, let me ask you a couple more quick questions here.
Yeah.
Do you think it's her or not?
This is not the child I raised.
You're sure of that?
As God lives, no.
But she looks like her.
She looks like her. She doesn't act. She's nothing like that. You know, after that, she went out of character altogether.
Does she still live with you?
No.
All right.
And she left home. You don't know what she did. She did so many things I don't want to discuss.
No, we don't have to get.
But she's not herself. Never.
Did she have kids? Get married? Anything like that?
She's not married. She did have one child, and she won't bring him to see me.
You're the grandmother.
Yeah, he's almost 3 years old, and she's involved in. She's not herself. Okay.
All right, I'll tell you what to do. You've got to next week. I can't remember the day she's on. She's in the middle of the week. Heidi Hollis will be our guest. Call in, and let's talk about that.
Let me milk your crazy for ratings one more time.
No shit.
And an expert on doppelgangers.
I just love the experts in fucking supernatural, like the paranormal shows, the ghost hunters and shit, where they like walk around in old jails or dark rooms, and they hold the fucking meters that we use to test wires at work out in the air, and they say stupid shit like, "Hello, is there anybody down here?" And then they're like, "Shh, did you hear that? Something answered. Hello. We come in peace." They're fucking retarded.
It really is ridiculous, and it's all just a show. It's nothing but charlatans, and anyone with any common sense knows that. And they're taking advantage of this nice old lady. And you know, the relationships between parents and children are really complex. And my mother has said to me that I'm not the child she raised me to be, right? And that's true. I grew up to be my own person with my own opinions and my own way of living. And to tell this woman that there's something wrong with her, it really gets me deep down.
That's what I was thinking the whole time too. I was like, it happened at 14, and then some behavioral issues started. So she's becoming a teenager, and then she's 37, and she's not the same that she was when she was 14. Well, no fucking shit.
I could see not taking my children around my crazy UFO seeing mother that thinks I'm an alien replacement.
Heck yeah, that's a good point, actually. What a fucking, also, we're only hearing this crazy mother side of the story. Like, what if this person may not even have children or be a mother? She might have just made the whole fucking thing up and called in for attention because she's lonely or something. Who knows? I
hope that's the fact of the matter. How about that? I hope that's the fact of the matter. All right. Well, let's move on to the king of crazy, the godfather of conspiracy. Alex is going to tell us about the Illuminati.
Of course he is.
Oh, but and we can't forget that he's joined by a very special guest, Eddie Bravo.
Holy shit.
They've become buddies since the Joe Rogan show.
Mr. Evidence himself, Eddie Bravo.
Mr. Alex, you don't know shit about space himself, has joined him.
Mr. Where do you get your news from? I get mine from YouTube, Eddie Bravo.
Oh, my God. Here we go.
You know what the Illuminati means?
The illuminated ones?
Yeah. And actually...
First of all, I love that. I love the way that went. Do you know what the Illuminati means? The illuminated ones? Yeah. I love that condescending way he said yes back to Eddie Bravo. All right, I'm sorry.
You know what the Illuminati means?
The illuminated ones?
Yeah. And actually, there was a renaissance against tyranny, and then the corrupt groups tried to take over movements of the Renaissance. They called themselves the Illuminati. They were the ones trying to hijack the Renaissance and end it. So the false Illuminati calls itself the Illuminati, but there's a real Illuminati, and nobody's even officially part of it. It's just anybody that wants to empower humanity.
What the fuck? So, like, it's a secret, a new Illuminati that doesn't even really exist, but it's just people that are trying to enlighten humanity of the fact that there's a fake Illuminati? What the fuck?
Yes, that's pretty much what he just told you. And you see, and here you thought we were done talking about doppelgangers for the evening, didn't you?
Yeah.
Apparently, the Illuminati that rap stars are talking about when they make their songs is the doppelganger of the real Illuminati,
which has no members, but is a group.
But it's a group, and anyone can be the leader. Okay, so I named that
Black
first
Lives
one.
Matter then.
Yeah, might as well be. So that first one I called, "Will the real Illuminati please stand up?" The second one I call, "Sit down, Alex."
Okay, so you could say I'm one of the leaders of the Illuminati worldwide. Like, you could probably argue I'm the leader of the Illuminati, or Donald Trump is.
Oh,
they're going to sample that.
Well, I mean, let's get real.
Alex Jones thinks he's Illuminati. He admits he's Illuminati.
Well, I do, actually.
And there you go. And what I take that out of context, he said that he is the leader of the Illuminati, and Andy Bravo goes, "They're going to take that out of context, man. They're going to sample that." Well, I am. I like, holy crap.
I don't know how you can take that out of context. He said he's the leader of the Illuminati.
Yeah, man. He's the leader of. So we're going to learn a little more. We're going to learn a little more about these two Illuminatis and Alex Jones' role.
George Washington was the leader of the Illuminati, the real Illuminati. And then the French Revolution was the false Illuminati. This was all in his letters. This was known.
What the fuck? I'm so fucking confused right now.
Okay. So the real Illuminati, George Washington was the leader of, right? And the fake Illuminati was the French Revolution. That was
But
fake.
I thought that he said that the good Illuminati had no members, and it was just anybody that was trying to enlighten humanity. So how could he have been the leader of what the fuck is he talking about? Jesus, motherfucking crazy as all fucking shit. I don't even, you've stumped me. You got, this is crazier than the 65,000 hot dogs. Because it doesn't even make fucking sense. It's so retarded. It just makes zero sense whatsoever. Okay, so hasn't he been screaming about the Illuminati being evil for years and years and years? And like they're the New World Order, and they're behind the scenes, and Rockefellers and fucking Rothschilds and Federal Reserve banks and black helicopters and SUVs, and not a mention of the good Illuminati. Now all of a sudden there's a good Illuminati, which has no members but is a group.
Yes. All right. So let's finish this clip.
Jesus fucking Christ! Holy fucking shit!
They really wanted to end slavery. It didn't mean they got it done, but they had this idea of empowering humanity. That meant illuminated. God is the real light. Lucifer is the light bearer, the false light. So God is the real illumination. There's a false counterfeit. So the Illuminati we know of that does all this bad stuff and all the devil worship and stuff and compromising people in sex orgies and things. That's how they did it back then. Now it's child molestation. Back then you get in trouble for an orgy with women.
Okay. So the good Illuminati's plan was to legalize slavery. They didn't get around to it. They got around to it later, not that time. And it's just like God and the devil. So we have it's an allegory. It's a representation of God and the devil. And the whole point, now we're getting into sex rituals. They keep their members in line through sex rituals, right? Because then they have dirt on.
Can I ask you something real quick? As somebody that was like super into God and baby Jesus and stuff. So if God's non-changing, like he doesn't change, right?
Yes, that's what it says.
Okay. So how would and if orgies were bad back then to God, the devil was creating orgies.
Oh, that's what the point is making.
So then how would orgies not still be bad to God?
This isn't about God. He's saying as a means to control people, right? Like you get them to do these. It used to be, orgies with a bunch of women, and then if you ever get out of line, we're going to expose you for this crime, right? So that's why there's
I thought
so
he
much
was talking about God.
That's why there's so much pedophilia in the government, because that's how they keep everyone in line. Is they make them fuck kids and then they use it against them. That's actually what Alex Jones says, guys.
Wow.
Yeah. Dark, right?
Like hookers and blow wouldn't be enough.
Right. I mean, and okay, so this next one is, Alex Jones was invited to join the Illuminati.
Okay.
What, when?
240 years ago. Now that it's got to be child molestation. And notice Trump's exposing all that. He's rolling that up. Town Hall, why is MSM ignoring Trump's sex trafficking bust? But I don't go to secret rituals. I'm not in some group. I'm not, I'm with the Renaissance, true human empowerment. It's just an idea. That's the real elimination versus the false elimination. That's the Illuminati. Let's expand on that. I got invited. I got told by a major movie star who was a Rhodes Scholar that you're going to be invited to Oxford in the next couple months.
All right, so he repackaged what I said, so he explained the whole sex ritual thing and that he was invited.
And it's not just going to be in Oxford. You're not just going to speak to the faculty. They're going to want you to go in these underground caves and do sex rituals, and then you're going to be in the Illuminati. And I said, okay, yeah, whatever. And then I got the call, an official letterhead, come speak at Oxford. When I said no, Cambridge, called. That's a different group. And it was really, they were telling me, come to the thing, join the group. And Benjamin Franklin had gone when he lived in England, actually been part of those. It was the Hellfire Club. So I've been invited to the Hellfire Club in England. That's real, brother. On my kids. That's real. So
I quit. That's it. I fucking quit. I can't, son of a bitch. I can't do this anymore. He is pathological in his lying.
Yes. Retarded
in believing that we wouldn't see this as a fucking bold-faced lie.
Yes.
He
put it on his kids, Dave.
I heard that.
He put it on his kids. You don't lie when you put it on your kids.
Well, I beg to differ, man.
That's when someone's lying, huh?
Yeah, you can tell a person's lying when they say I put it on my kids. Who says that? Who puts shit on their kids?
People that end sentences with "believe me." Liars.
On my kid's life.
Mm-hmm.
I wish Karma.
On his kid's life.
Karma was real.
Oh, does he have kids?
I don't know.
Never heard him talk about him. Who cares? Anyway, Alex was invited to Cambridge to have sex parties in dungeons that are underneath the school. But what kind of sex orgies, Alex? We all know the answer. Why am I acting like there's a mystery? Let's find out how they wanted to fuck kids.
Kitty fucking. Please tell me it's kitty.
You understand? This stuff's real.
The Satanism that's involved as well. And people think,
well, that's
crazy.
the deal. Here's the deal.
You're crazy for talking about that.
Look, a regular gang, whether it's white supremacist or Mexican gang, you got to go rob a liquor store. You got to hit an old lady in the head with a gun. You got to shoot somebody.
Hey, wasn't it last week you had to rip her teeth out with pliers in order to join the Mexican gangs?
Yes, he's making the same point again. Here's the thing. Alex says the same, pretty much. He just repeats.
Yeah, but he said last time it was the ripping of the teeth, and now this time it's the shooting of the heads.
Right. You see, and you're taking him literal. He's just saying, what he's saying is, in other gangs that carry violence out against these women, in the Illuminati, or against some old people or some random citizen, in the Illuminati, it's these sex rituals and these sex orgies that are like the get-in club. He actually uses a reference to The Godfather coming up here in this clip.
All right.
Which fuck him.
You got to kill a rival gang member. Those are rituals.
Yeah.
Earn your bones.
Yeah.
I earned my bones when you were with cheerleaders, from the Godfather, but that's not enough. That's just showing you'll kill somebody and they got dirt on you. You got to hurt kids, and it's not just molest them. The highest levels, they kill them.
And they do something about baby blood, right? There's something.
Well, they terrorize the kid, then they drain their blood off while they pump all their hormones out, and then they drink all the adrenaline and all this, and then the essence. Yeah.
So
and by the way, Satanist groups have been caught doing that.
We can test that.
Sources, please.
That claim, Alex, you done fucked up there. Because all the other conspiracy bullshit that he's talking about now, we know he's full of shit. But he's saying shit that is not testable. But
yes.
But that was a testable claim, and I will suss that out.
Yep. And what he just did is went to satanic panic claims. Yes. And if you would have pressed someone like him that just made that statement, he would pull up some satanic panic articles.
Yes, but we know that that's bullshit. I was alive during that. I wasn't just alive. I was, old enough to see what was going on and understand it.
Well, okay. I went to Christian schools in the South, so even though I went to schools in the 90s and early 2000s, I was still in a satanic panic environment. I was still told you get possessed, trick-or-treating, and that satanic rituals were real, and that there's actually people out there sacrificing animals, sacrificing babies. People are kidnapped on Halloween and tortured, and kids are hurt. I was told all that in school. It still persists to this day in Christian communities.
It was crazy in the 80s, though. They had, they were on every talk show, every day on the talk shows.
I've seen clips.
You've seen clips, yeah. It was nuts, and he could bring up bullshit stories, but he couldn't bring up facts because the police data does not match the stories that were told and the panic itself. So there were I'm not going to say there was never any satanic rituals, but all this baby killing and fucking eating of the children and the panic that went through, that was all Hollywood bullshit.
Correct. That is correct.
Is there another piece to this?
No, that's it. That's where I thought I'd cut it off. I feel like Alex gave us enough of a peek into the inner workings of the Illuminati.
Oh, he certainly did. I did not realize that there was two Illuminatis. One is Satan and has members and is a group. The other is God, has no members, is a group.
And has leaders.
And Alex and Trump are the leaders. Let's not forget that he was invited to rape, kill, and drink the blood and the essence of children at Oxford University, of all fucking places.
And didn't call the police about it. And he waited 30 years to talk about it on his radio show.
And Eddie Bravo is just like Alex Jones' protege. He's becoming Alex Jones.
Oh my God. What if he started a conspiracy theory podcast?
I can't see it not happening. The way he goes on when he's on those Fight Companions, and it's like, shut up, dude. And it's really funny, when him and Brian Cowan start going at it, because Eddie Bravo will say to Brian, where do you get your facts from? And Brian's like, well, the fucking Financial Times, the fucking New York Times, he lists off legit newspapers and stuff, and then Brian will ask him, and he's like, YouTube, and then Brian's like, that's not how that works. You just don't know, man.
This was the Wayward Atheist Podcast. Visit our new website at waywardatheists.com. Follow us on Spreaker, spreaker.com/waywardatheists. You can email us at waywardatheistpodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at waywardatheists and on facebook.com/waywardatheists. If you enjoy our content, feel free to leave us a review on iTunes, and feel free to support us at patreon.com/waywardatheists.